In
Venda.
Venda or the Constantinos?
Venda. Oh, Constantinos.
Okay. I know because you have different names.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So in Constantinos?
Yes.
Okay. How did that meeting come about?
I have no idea how it got started or...
Who was there?
Again, I don't remember exactly who was there.
Billing was there?
Yes.
Speaker there?
Speaker there.
Corso?
And Corso was there.
Stokes?
Don't remember. I can't remember
This is just
beyond
the
that.
usual names. Jen McLean there?
No.
Did you ever meet her?
I don't recall.
Okay.
Again, it's hard because I know...
All right, but let's get back to this event or dinner. Call it a dinner. It's rather than an event.
Yeah.
At Constantino's. Did you just happen upon it? Did the speaker call you?
I don't remember if I was just being in Venda that day because it's the family thing, or...
I mean, you had left the employ of...
Right,
of
yeah,
Venda
but I still hung around my family business.
I get that. I get that. But you had left the employ...
Yes.
Several years prior.
Right.
So you're up there. Was it lunch? Was it dinner?
Dinner.
Okay. Did you sit down with them?
I did for a little while.
Was this while all of this consideration of the loan guarantee program was going on?
I don't remember exactly when it was. I don't know if it was after.
So you don't know whether it was March, April,
Right.
May,
It might have
or...
even been in post, really post.
All right.
I have a feeling it was like after.
Sometime after, shortly after?
I can't tell you.
You know?
I don't remember. And
Doors
I can tell you,
the doors around
the conversation was I was having a trivia battle with Kurt Schilling.
Okay.
Baseball.
Baseball.
That was pretty much the extent of it.
So during that particular evening over dinner, you joined him for dinner?
I don't know if I ate dinner. I sat at the table.
Okay. So during that period of time, there was at least Fox, Corso, and Schilling.
Right.
Yourself. Maybe somebody else, maybe not?
There were others. No, there were others. I just
there?
don't remember exactly who it was.
Any discussion about 38 Studios at all?
I don't believe so. I mean...
If it was after the...
Yeah, it might have been how you doing kind of thing, or maybe nothing specific to 38 Studios. It was really,
No specific recollection?
No.
Did you ever meet with them again?
No.
Schilling, Fox, Corso?
No.
Well, there's no question in your mind that at least those three were there that night, along with some other people.
That's correct.
I mentioned Jen McLean, and you indicated that you don't recall meeting her.
Again, it's what I've read in the paper, so
Again,
she might have been at the Maynard meeting. That's what but that wasn't my recollection.
All right. So you have no specific recollection of speaking with her or dealing with her
No.
at any point in time?
Not at all.
All right. And I keep going back to Maynard, Mass. During the meeting, this meet and greet, Commissioner, when Schilling was, giving his spiel about why, such a great company he had and we'd like to consider moving to Rhode Island, did the speaker at the time make any assurances to him?
I don't believe so.
All right. Did he indicate at all, say, hey, look, this is what Rhode Island can do for you. We can do this program, or we can look
I don't recall that conversation.
tax credits.
No, not at all.
Did you ever discuss?
They would not even think of mentioning that term, tax credit, in front of me.
Okay, you're not a fan?
That's right.
Okay. Do you recall any discussion, subsequent discussion, or information, or receiving information, where Michael Corso was attempting to, I don't want to use the word finagle, but utilize tax credits or film tax credits to assist 38 Studios?
All right. Something has jogged my memory.
I'm listening.
one of the things I remember saying is, particularly in this tax credit things, one of the things I was always concerned about what I call stacking of credits, programs. And that's why I said earlier, they wouldn't talk about me with tax credits, because I was, for those who remember, I capped the historical tax credit program, and a lot of people were upset. I made changes to the film tax credit program, and a lot of people were upset. So the issue of tax credits in me wasn't a very good marriage. So whenever I deal with these programs, I always am concerned about what I call the stacking of issues. So you get a grant, then you get a loan, then you get a tax credit, and then you get a, and it really, really concerns me that, at the end of the day, what's the company really paying, I was not on the top 10 favorite list of brokers and even some of the advocacy community on the tax credit program, because it had cost the state $500 million over the course of, say, 10 years. And although it has done some really great things to some of our historic buildings, I was dealing with $200 million deficits every single year, so we had to control it and cap it. So just want to give you a little context of that.
All right, and I appreciate that, but I was just trying to find out if it was discussed. It wasn't discussed, not in your presence.
Not in my presence.
All right. After hearing Schilling talk about his company, what did you think about the prospect of them moving to Rhode Island?
I think, and I say this, I think all of us, if you even look at the votes, this bill passed 66-1. I think everybody, it's like what Kennedy said after the Bay of Pigs, right? It's the same thing. A victory has many fathers. A defeat is an orphan. Yeah. And I think everybody wanted this thing to work. I think truly we wanted something to happen. So when you ask me, did I want this thing to succeed? In my heart of hearts, I did want it to succeed. I wanted Rhode Island to have a company here,
I don't think anyone doubts, Commissioner, that you wanted it to succeed. I'm asking about what your first impressions were of 38 Studios based on that one visit. Did you think it was an interesting opportunity?
Well, it was only a meet and greet. It was very, I didn't know much more after that. I was relying on the Economic Development Corporation to do their due diligence and to do their assessment and look at issues like that sector and the high-risk nature of that sector. I did put in protections that I think were the committee put in protections that were completely ignored in many aspects. I think they got reports that I've found out after that really probably weren't paid attention to. I don't know the level of risk assessment that the financial institutions do, because they're supposed to do a risk assessment themselves. I was told, and I say this on the debate on the House floor, that what I was told was EDC would do a risk assessment and the financial institution would do a risk assessment. So in that meeting, which was basically very general, a lot of general terms, not really a lot of specifics, I didn't know if I had an opinion at that point. Right. But I certainly wanted something to happen in Rhode Island.
Again, I don't think anybody has a belief that you wanted this program to fail. I was just trying to get your take on what you felt 38 Studios was all about, and you've answered that. Obviously, again, as you've discussed, and as I agree, the economic condition of Rhode Island at the time and most of the country was not all that great. So we talked a little bit about the ride up. We talked a little bit about this meet and greet. What about? I don't think I asked you about the ride back. Fox say anything?
No, I don't.
Excited over it?
I think there was a little excitement, and I think we were impressed at Rhode Island School of Design and things like that. But again, nothing really specific was being discussed. I will say this, I was charged with, having my staff work with ED staff to draft legislation on the loan guarantee program.
That happened immediately.
Pretty fast, yes.
So, Speaker says, hey, put your staff on this, work with EDC, get it done.
Right.
Okay. I said, the Speaker wanted it done, get your staff on this, and it was done. That may not have been verbatim, but that's what I said. And no conversations on the way back about what you had just seen, what you just heard, what you had just seen at
No,
TV
I mean,
studios.
again, my memory is a little lapsed. 4.5 years ago, a 40-minute ride. I don't remember much more being discussed, and
you indicated, Commissioner, that in the past these ideas for loan guarantee programs and such didn't get very far in this state. Do you know why?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much stopping many of them the years before. I think the economic climate this year was different.
You were stopping them?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say me personally, but I was very against moral obligations. I generally have been. And I think to this point, if I had to give any advice, which you're not asking for, obviously, but...
Not my call.
All right. Well, I think they're not only in this industry, but just moral obligations are very risky.
In the past, and I know you mentioned this in, I think it was in the floor hearing, actually, you were asked, take your time. You were asked whether or not there had been other failures in programs like this in Rhode Island. Do you recall any
Yes,
with specificity?
I wasn't here, but Alpha Beta was a failure.
You weren't here?
I wasn't in the building.
Okay. But before your time?
Right.
All right. Any during your tenure as finance chair?
I asked at the hearing, actually, and they bragged about how, really bragging about how good they were in successful choices with their programs. This is EDC, I'm sorry. They go on a litany of explaining to the committee that, they've really managed all these programs very well. And, I think they mentioned, I might have mentioned Alpha Beta in the hearing, I don't remember, but again, it was before my time, but since then they have, they had the expertise to manage these types of programs.
All right, so this Alpha Beta, if it's before 1995, do you know how long Keith Stokes was involved in EDC? So was this before his time?
Yes.
As EDC as well?
I think this is a long time ago. I don't know. It might have been during the DePreet Sunland years.
Okay, well, it's quite some time ago. So,
it was.
And then during that time, Commissioner, they talked about, and I don't recall specifically, I mean, I watched the committee hearings, and I know he and Rob Stoltzman and Lori White were all, pretty much gung-ho about the whole idea.
Right.
I don't recall any specifics about what companies they were successful with. Do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
And it certainly is clear from, and now that you've seen it, I know in your deposition you hadn't watched those, and you didn't have any recollection of Stokes or Stoltzman testifying at the hearing.
Yeah.
But you do now.
I watched it.
Okay. Were there any, and I already know the answer to this, I think, but were there any detractors that testified?
No.
At the committee hearing? None.
None.
Okay. In fact, in my recollection, there's only 3 people who testified, and we've already talked about who they were, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you were charged with, you know what I mean, put in charge of getting this legislation drafted, right? And by the Speaker. And you put, again, I think you indicated that your legal counsel drafted it?
Yes.
And that was Mr.
You asked me the question, who generally drafts legislation for the committee. Now, that
was my question.
Right.
Do you know who drafted this particular piece of legislation?
There was a draft that I believe EDC, because the only reason I know this is because in the hearing, there's a draft Kushner in front of me.
Yeah.
And I think that came from them.
EDC.
Absolutely.
Stoltzman.
I don't know who drafted it, but I don't know if it was Stoltzman or there's a lawyer inside of EDC who actually drafted the Kushner that I was referring to in committee.
All right, you had if you know,
all right.
Rob Stoltzman.
Generally, he does.
Rob Stoltzman was legal counsel.
Legal counsel. Right. So generally, it's his.
He and his firm.
It's his responsibility.
And then they had also outside counsel, bond counsel, that sort of thing.
Right.
Which they wouldn't be drafting legislation.
No.
You agree with that?
I agree.
All right.
So, and the reason why I noted it is because I noted it in this draft, the protections that I had mentioned earlier, and I say this in committee, were not in it.
At the committee hearing.
At the committee hearing.
Now, yes. Why don't we take a break, short break for the stenographer? Okay. How long, Chair? 10 minutes? 10 minutes? 10 minutes. Thank you.
We'll be in recess for 10 minutes.